Good morning, Nichols family. It's Miss Warren. I hope everybody is doing absolutely fabulous. Today's lesson is going to be on fractions, so I would really like for you to have something to write with and something to write on. So if you'd like to pause the video for just a second and run get you some paper and pencil, that would be fabulous. Okay, how many of you are completely comfortable adding and subtracting fractions with unlike denominators? Raise your hand. How many of you are like, I feel pretty good, but I need a little bit of help? And how many of you are like, I need a whole lot of help? Okay, so no matter where you are, this video will help you do fractions. Once again, if you've had me in class working with you, you know I like to go really slow and break things down into steps so that you guys can understand the fractions. So I'm going to go slow today. I'm going to break it down into real specific steps. I'm going to give you what I call little crazy strategies that really don't pertain to math, but they help you remember and understand how to do fractions. So the first problem I want you to write down is this right here. I'm going to try to hold it where everybody can see it. 7 1/2 plus 3 2/6. So I'll give you just a second to write that on your paper. And then I want to talk about, I'm going to have to get this down and get my marker here. Let's talk about the parts to a fraction. The top number is called the what? Numerator. That's exactly right. And the bottom number of every fraction is called the denominator. And I always say down. The denominator is down. Okay, so when you look at a fraction, look and see what we're going to do. And I didn't got the plus sign. I'm going to move it up just a little bit. Plus. So we're going to add on this one. So we know we're going to add. The next thing I want you to do is look at your denominators. And I want you to circle your denominators. What happens sometimes is kids will use the numerators instead of the denominators. So this is just a step to help you remember that I need to do something with my denominators. So step 1, we're going to circle our denominators. Step 2 is what I call my river. And I'm going to draw a river, and that's one of those things that's not really math, but I like it, between the whole numbers and the fractions. This is the fraction world. This is the whole number world. And in today's lesson, we're not going to actually get into where we have to regroup and go back and forth between whole and fractions. We will do that at a later date. Today's just a real basic lesson on adding and subtracting fractions with unlike denominators. Okay, so when you look at your denominators, you've got a 6 and you've got a 2. They're not alike. We cannot add, we cannot subtract until the denominators are exactly the same. We've got to have a common denominator. Everybody remember that? Okay, what I want you to do now, this is the step that I like for you to do. I want you to take your two denominators, 2 and 6, and we're going to put them down here. Just write 2 and 6. Everybody see that? And then we're going to find the multiples of each one of these numbers until we find a match. You can skip count. You can say 2 times 1, 2 times 3, 2 times 4. If you can skip count, 2, 4, 6, 6, 12. And when we find the first match, the least common multiple, we're going to circle that. And I always tell the kids, let me get where you see this, I start with the smallest number, the smallest denominator, because 6 is sitting down here, and it's quite a bit bigger than that too. So there's no sense going 6, 12, 18. Let's get 2 caught up to the 6, and we might find our common denominator. So let's do the 2. 2, 4, 6. Look at there. We didn't have to go anywhere with that 6. So 6 is my common denominator. Everybody good on that step? All right, now I'm going to go back up here, and I'm going to take that number that I circle, my common denominator, and I'm going to put it directly across from my other denominator. The 2, and right across from it is the 6. The 6, I'm going to put right across, let me back up just a little bit, is the 6. Everybody see what I did? Then I'm going to put little multiplication symbols right here. That's just going to remind me of what I'm going to do. And as you get better at doing fractions, you can leave off some of these steps. Some of you probably saw automatically that 6 was going to be the common denominator. Some of you know your multiplication facts well enough to know that. Some of you had to skip count, and that's perfectly fine. This is a brand new skill in the 5th grade. You all did like denominators in the 4th grade. So this is a new skill. Everybody good so far? All right, now, what can I do to 6 to get to 6? Well, that 6 is already there, so if you just want to slide this 2 over, because it's not going to change, I also tell the kids 6 times what is 6? We know it's 1. And whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. So 2 times 1 is 2. So I have built an equivalent fraction. 2 6 and 2 6 are the same. That denominator did not change. Okay, so let's look at the one on the top, your top fraction here. I've got 2, and I'm trying to get to a 6. I'm always going to multiply. So 2 times what is 6? 2, 4, 6, and you can look down here. 2, 4, 2 times 3. You're right. So whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. So I'll put my 3 here. 1 times 3 is 3. Okay, so these are my new fractions. That's the ones I'm going to add. We've got our common denominator. So go ahead and bring that 6 down. You're halfway home. You have half of the answer done. And it tells us we're going to add, so I'm going to add my 2 numerators. 3 plus 2 is 5. So that's 5, 6. And then we'll add my whole numbers. 7 plus 3 is 10. Now you always have to look to see if you can simplify this fraction. And in today's lesson, I picked fractions where you did not have to simplify. I will come back and we will work on that at a later date. I just want to make sure that you have this down, that you can add and subtract fractions with unlike denominators where you don't have to simplify and you don't have to regroup. Once you get this down, you'll be great at doing the others. Okay, so everybody check your work. Make sure you got this. And I'm going to get another one. I'm going to have to erase my board. And I'm going to put another problem up here for you. Let's do 5 1/3 plus, I'm having to look, I've got these written for you, 6 2/5. Okay, I'll give you time to copy it. Okay, remember I told you the first thing I want you to do is look at your denominators. I don't care if they are alike. I don't care if they're different. I want you to circle your denominators. I always tell my kids at school, I'll have to zoom in and look at the denominators. Everybody did that? All right. Then I want you to draw your river. And it separates the fraction world from the whole number world. Everybody good? Okay, do you remember the next step? I don't have a common denominator, so what am I going to do? If you said take your 2 denominators, 3 and 5, and we're going to find the multiples of 3 and 5. When we find multiples, we're saying 3 times 1, 3 times 2, 3 times 3, or we can say 3, 6, 9, whatever's best for you. Remember, I always start with my smallest number. We want to kind of get it close to our bottom number. Well, we got this. Let's go 3, 6, 9. Let's work on the 5 for just a minute. 5, 10, still don't have a match. 15, let's back up to here. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. There it is. Everybody see what it did? And if you know your multiplication facts really well, you were probably able to see that the least common multiple between 3 and 5 was going to be 15. Everybody got that? Do you remember now where you take that 15? It's now your new denominator. So you're going to put it directly across from your old denominator. Everybody see that? Okay? Now go ahead and put your little multiplication signs. That's just going to remind you that you have to multiply. Okay? I'm going to say to myself, 5 times what number equals 15? 5 times what? If you said 3, you've got it. whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. 3 times 2 is 6. So 2/5 is the same thing as 6/15. I've just renamed the fraction. Okay, let's do the top one. I'm going to let you do it by yourself. Remember, whatever you do to the bottom, you do the top. I'm going to do it, then I'll turn it around and see if you got what I got. Okay, I got 5/15. Did you get that? I said to myself, 3 times what number is 15? And 3 times 5 is 15. So whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. 1 times 5 is 5. Everybody get that? Okay, so let's take care of our fraction world first. The denominator is already 15. Not going to change it again. Bring it down. I'm halfway home. Let me see what I'm going to erase this down here because it's kind of going into what you're trying to see. Okay, and then I will do whatever it tells me. I'm adding, so 5 plus 6 is 11. Got that? And then we'll add my whole number. 6 plus 5 is 11. So my answer is 11 and 11/15. Everybody see that? And once again, that fraction cannot be simplified. What kind of number is 11? Do y'all know? Prime or composite? It's prime. It's that lonely number. He only has 1 and himself as friends. So the only factors of 11 are 1 times 11. The factors of 15 don't include an 11. If you factor those out, if you said 3, 6, 9, it doesn't include that. That was just added bonus. It's 15 prime or composite. If you said composite, you got that right because it's got more than 2 factors. It has company, composite. So, okay, everybody got that one? Okay, let's try another one. Let's try a subtraction one this time. Let's try 24 2/3. Got that? And we're going to take away 17 1/7. Once you get it copied down. Okay, first thing I want you to do, circle your denominators. That should just be second nature. You circle those denominators. And then I want you to draw the river. Now, I know right now, I'm going to tell you something. The river is not real important right now, or separating your whole number and your fraction world. But when we start regrouping, when we have to borrow from over here or bring some fractions over here, to me it's important for kids to see that only fractions can stay over here and only whole numbers can stay over here. So, once again, as you get better at this, you don't have to do this river. You'll say, Miss Warren, that was dumb. We ain't going to do no river. And that's fine. Okay, so let's skip count 3 and 7. Let's start with our smallest number. 3, 6, 9. Let's work on 7, 14, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 14, 21, 15, 8, 21. Can you see? I'm having to squish up on my little board here. So when I skip counted 3 and 7, the smallest number they have in common is 21. Everybody see that? All right, so I'm going to take that 21 and we'll put it directly across from the other denominator. Okay, and go ahead and put your little multiplication symbols. Okay, it should look like that. And then you're going to say to yourself, 7 times what's 21? If you said 3, you got it. Whatever you do to the bottom, you do to the top. 1 times 3 is 3. Okay? 3 times what's 21? I'm having trouble seeing this. I know it's hard to do this. It's 7. 3 times 7 is 21. Whenever I do the top, I do the bottom. And 2 times 7 is 14. Everybody get that? Okay? So let's bring our 21 down. Miss Warren didn't make a mistake, did she? 3 times 7, 2 times 7, 7 times 3. Nope. So 14 minus 3. I think that's 11. And let's subtract over here. Okay, we can't take away 4, take away 7, but borrow. 14 take away 7. 14 take away 7 is 7. So 7 and 11 over 21. Everybody got that? Okay, that's all we're going to do for today. I will be sending home some, or sending with our administrative team some problems for you to work on while you're at home. And once again, just make up some of your own problems. Just sit down, write down fractions, or just practice skip counting. Write down some denominators. Take 3 and 9. You'd even do 3 numbers. Whatever you want to do. The more you practice, the better you will become at this. I hope this has helped you. Guys, I miss you so much. I love you. I'm ready to see you. This sitting home is not fun. It's just me and my husband, and we have talked about all we can talk. So he's outside working in the shop, and I'm in the house thinking about school and thinking about you guys. I love you. Goodbye. Bye-bye.